Hey, thanks for joining us for the latest episode of the What Are We Watching podcast. Hey, Carlin, what are we watching this week?
We're watching old Voltron versus new Voltron with our retro versus contemporary series.
That's right, we got a challenge. We met that challenge. We answered the challenge. Now it's time for you to decide, are we right? What's better, old Voltron or new Voltron? Cue the theme song.
Yeah, Colin turns on the TV, Christian flips off the screen, cause there's no good children's shows that he's seen. We've got dogs with blogs, superheroes in the ER. All dads are dumb and kids have better PR. Colin just smile, Christian sits with the scowl. He complains to his son, all the kids shows suck now. They sit and discuss the show's plus and minuses while you listen or watch on YouTube to the arguments. Who is right? Is it the son or the dad? Either way you get to laugh knowing Christian is mad. So pull up a chair, get the corner poppin'. Here's a new episode of What Are We Watching?
All right, everyone, thanks again for joining us for the What Are We Watching podcast. How are you doing, Carlin?
Good.
Carlin just had a day away from us. Mom and I were away for a night because I was doing a function for Dad Sews. If you haven't checked out Dad Sews, you got to check out Dad Sews. I sew things on camera. And a lot of times it goes wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, Carlin was around when we took a sewing machine out in the woods and we shot it with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And Carlin even helped me destroy a sewing machine with a baseball bat. So if you're looking for something fun, Dad Sews is definitely the answer. But I had a blast this weekend being at a sewing convention with Dad Sews. And Mom was my camera person. Mm-hmm. Usually it's Carlin that's my cameraman. So anyway, that was a fun time. Had by all. What did you do while we were gone?
I watched AFV a lot and played my DS and rode my skateboard.
Watch AFV? Oh, America's Funniest Videos?
Yeah.
All right. And played soccer. You had a soccer game.
Yeah, I had a soccer game.
And you all actually won, right?
Yes, first time.
First win.
First win.
Are you all allowed to, remember who won or keep score on who won?
I think so.
No, I know the younger kids aren't, which is nuts. It's so dumb. Just, if you won or you lost. Come on. All right. Well, this episode, we were challenged by Chris Lewis, who runs the website Dad of Divas. And hey, he challenged us to watch Voltron. I'm going to let him do it in his words. Take it away, Chris.
Hey guys, this is Chris Lewis from dadofdivas.com and dadspotlight.com. And I want to challenge both of you to watch the original Voltron series and the new Voltron series. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts.
All right, so there you go. Chris challenged us to do Voltron versus new Voltron. Now, as soon as Voltron started, when we watched the first one, you're like, during the intro, what did you say it was like?
It said it was like Power Rangers.
And I was like, no, it is not like Power Rangers. Power Rangers is like Voltron. Voltron is the OG. He's the original gangsta. He rules the skies. Power Rangers would be nothing without Voltron, and they would be nothing to Voltron, because Voltron would make a power sword, slice them in half, and they would be dead. Remember, when Power Rangers fight with their sword, they're like, shing, 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 against other weapons and other monsters, right? Mm-hmm. Voltron slices you once, it turns white, you explode. Voltron destroys. All right, so what did you think of the intro of the old Voltron, 80s Voltron? Now, I'm sorry, let me interrupt. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but we watched 80s Voltron and we watched the new Voltron, which is on Netflix, which is, what's that? Legendary Defender. So if you want to know the exact episodes we watched, I have them linked below so you can watch them. If you want to pause this, watch both episodes so you know what we're talking about. But come on, if you're a regular listener, you've already done that. But we watched Season 1, Episode 4 of the 80s Voltron and Season 1, Episode 3 of Legendary Defender. So back to you, Carlin. Sorry I interrupted you.
It's okay.
What did you think of the whole intro of the 80s Voltron?
I also thought it kind of looked like Star Trek animation too.
Oh, like Star Trek with the space and the
Yeah.
What with the whole Final Frontier intro and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, the space and
Oh,
all
that's
that
cool.
ships.
All that ship?
Yes.
Did you just say all that ship? And Carlin's trying to sneak in curse words on the podcast.
No.
All right. So here's something that's really cool. I could have had my eyes closed and been in another room and told you whose voice was on the intro to the Voltron, the 80s Voltron, because it was the intro. The voice was the voice of Optimus Prime from Transformers. The original Transformers, and he does the voice for the movies too. That was the voice of Optimus Prime. So it was like Voltron. I can't even pretend to be him. The voice when he was talking about Voltron. And here's what I liked about the intro. It describes the series to people that are new to it. So it tells you exactly what's going on. You know, the Lions defend the planet Eris and they form Voltron. And then it shows him forming a little bit quickly and then the sword. And the thing that was crazy to me is that they just had a picture of Voltron like frozen in the back, and then it would show the faces of the kids that are in Voltron just sliding in on these like, I don't know, just squares or whatever, and they kind of like float in and out, and I was like, that looks 80s, man. That is super 80s. I remember that because I was alive in the 80s, and that was dated. But I do like the voiceover telling you what's going on with Voltron. Like, that's helpful to cartoons, especially to parents that don't know what the heck's going on. So I thought it was very cool. What did you think of the quality of the animation? Not that we're going to talk about the new one yet, but what did you think about the quality of the animation of the 80s version versus the new version? Which was better in animation?
I think the new one was better in animation.
Yeah, it probably was better. Yeah, I'll give you that one. Here's the thing. Voltron is what we call, back in my day, we would call it Japanimation. Like, that's not the cool word to use anymore because you're saying Japan. I don't know, whatever. But we would always call it Japanimation. Now it's called anime. So that's what, everybody's call it animation from overseas. But we always called it Japanimation. So what's weird is that it was made in Japan by Japanese people, and all of their characters were white. Like Anglo-Saxon, like me, white looking. But what was crazy is like one of the characters that was leading the younger kid through the caves, which we'll talk about in a minute, he had like an Asian accent, but he was white. He was like a white dude with a white guy beard and all that kind of stuff. So it was really crazy. And I still remember I was watching a Japanimation, I always call it that, Japanimation movie when I was a kid. And my dad said maybe one of the dumbest things he's ever said. Okay? He said, I don't know how you can watch these things. Their mouths don't line up to what they're saying. And I didn't even know what to say.
To be honest, I actually did notice that in the first one, but I didn't say anything about it because it wasn't that.
Okay, well, there's two solid reasons their voices don't line up to what they say. One, it's a stinking cartoon. And back then, they didn't make the I-E-O voice, faces as much. But the other reason is because it's originally in Japanese. So maybe their mouths do line up to what they're saying, but we don't know that they're saying konnichiwa, ni hao, but I don't know. I'm just, but, I don't know, but their mouths probably do line up better to what they're saying in their original language of Japanese, Dad. It blew me away when he said that. It broke my brain. I didn't even know how to answer it. And I couldn't answer it like I did now because I would have gotten in trouble for being a smart mouth. but that may go down in history. He said something since then that was pretty dumb too. But anyway, okay, so that was at the time dumbest thing that my dad ever said. Okay, who was the bad guy that was going after Voltron?
The bad guy was Zarkon.
Yeah, King Zarkon. All right, so King Zarkon, he's the bad guy. And it's kind of interesting. They show a lot more talking in the original than they do in the new one, right?
Yeah.
Like they showed the military all sitting, and this reminded me of Star Wars, not Star Trek, where like the military was all sitting on this big silver table and they were all discussing like, we should get the Voltron team, but the Voltron team doesn't have the fifth lion. And, it was just a lot of talking and military men. And I don't think they would have, I know for a fact, after watching the new one, they wouldn't show that kind of stuff now.
Yeah.
You know, it was just a lot more what we call cerebral. It involved thinking and understanding things. It was more like Star Trek in that way. And I really kind of dug that. So that was kind of cool. And you're right, the animation is not as fast and shiny as the new animation. Although we were watching it on YouTube because it's hard to get the original series of Voltron. I don't even know if they have the original series on DVD. If they do, I didn't have it. We watched it on YouTube. But even the original animation was not as good as what it is now. But now they're using computer animation mixed with hand animation sometimes. Sometimes it's all computer. So that's why it's flashier, you know, and has sharper angles and all that kind of stuff. So what was this episode about? The main part of the episode about in the 80s Voltron?
The main episode was about Zarkon wanting to destroy them with a monster. I think the monster was covering for them their plans.
Well, it was about Pidge finding the fifth lion.
True.
You know, like Zarkon.
But they were lost in the beginning.
Right. Zarkon, well, that's because we didn't watch the episode previous. But Zarkon was looking for or trying to stop them before they found the fifth lion, right? He has a witch that's with him, and she was like, I know they don't have the fifth lion yet. We will send our Robeast before they get the fifth lion. They'll never be able to form Voltron, blah, blah, blah. Okay? And where did they find the key for Voltron, finally?
From the space mouse.
Right. There's, like, space mice that can supposedly talk to the princess because they put them in a cage, and she's like, what are you doing to the poor mice? The mice were my only friends. And then it shows her memory of what? The mice dancing all around her in dresses. Did you not think that was wacky?
I thought that was weird.
They're in dresses and they're dancing for her, and she's just watching the mice like, oh, the beautiful mice. She's like Snow White with the animals dancing around. They're even dancing on her head. I was like, woman, those are mice. Get them off of you. They are filthy. So there are dancing mice that talk to the princess through telepathy. I don't know. They didn't move their mouths, right? She would ask them a question. They just smile with those big anime eyes. All right. So they get the key. And then, of course, as soon as they get the key, who comes down? The Robeast. And what did you think of the Robeast? Was he scary? Was he weird? Different than what the new cartoons show?
At first, when he looked so huge, I wrote I would be scared to fight him.
Right.
But apparently, I think it said that they encountered him before.
Yeah, I think they encountered him before because when they only had 4 lions. But they got away. That's why they were all like out of it when Pidge was trying to call him. He was like, I hear you snoring in your lions. Yeah. Okay, let's discuss Pidge because I just said he.
Okay.
Here's a question about Pidge. Is Pidge a girl or a boy? What do you think? How do you feel? Was Pidge a girl or a boy?
I think Pidge is a boy. It seems more like a boy team. There are more boys than girls.
Okay. There is a lot of argument on the internet over whether Pidge is a boy or a girl.
He sounds like a girl.
Oh, sounds like a girl?
Kind of.
Okay, see, here's the thing.
Well, in the new one.
Okay, let's just talk about the original one. In the original one, Pidge has a hairband on. Mm-hmm. But what's the big guy's name? Chunk or whatever his name's not Chunk. What is it?
I don't know.
I can't remember now. The big guy's it's like Hunk. No, Hunk. So I just think Chunk from Goonies, which we still have to show you. You're so close to being ready for Goonies. So Hunk is got like a headband on. Okay, so that's fine. But Pidge has a hairband on, which is usually a girly thing, right? And then Pidge's shirt or jacket has like fringe coming off of it. But the voice is a boy's voice. It's like a squeaky boy's voice. But, you know, it's like, is Pidge a boy or a girl? And in the 80s version, I don't think you ever find out. I just don't know. Is Pidge a boy or girl? And I just kept writing down, is that a boy or girl? It's written on my notes over and over. Boy or girl, hairband, boy's voice. I just don't know. I don't know if Pidge is a boy or girl. And they never said he or she to Pidge.
No, they didn't. They just said
They just
Pidge.
said, where's Pidge?
Yeah.
Is Pidge there? Where is Pidge? Is Pidge this? Is Pidge that? They never said, does Pidge use the boys' bathroom or the girls' bathroom in the castle? And who cleans the castle, by the way? It's just the princess and her general. I don't know if he's a general, her second in arm, man at arms or whatever. The guy that he's the tough guy that protects the princess. And so he protects the princess. And I was just wondering, who cleans the toilets? Who cleans the toilets in the castle? It ain't the princess. It's maybe the magic mice.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so the mice give them the key. They're able to get the fifth lion. All of a sudden, Robeast comes down, and you said Robeast looks scary to you.
Yeah, at first, yeah.
Here's the thing that I thought was scary about Robeast. He had pointy cone boobs. And for you adults out there, it looked like one of Madonna's bras from her 90s videos. Just a pointy cone boob. And it didn't do anything. It didn't shoot lasers or anything like that. And then the first thing Voltron does, they all go on. Here's the thing that I never got about Voltron. I understand it, why they do it. But they never just form up Voltron and beat the crap out of somebody. They always, even Power Rangers, they always try to fight with their individual Zords or Lions.
I want to say something, though.
Oh, go.
Their fighting technique was so kind of weird and dumb.
Oh, it wasn't weird. It was stupid.
They just hit, and then they all do it, and they're like, oh, let's try again. Yeah. It's so dumb.
They just jumped right at its stomach. And then he's like, okay, first of all, their first thing, they ran and jumped at his stomach. And then the guy goes, let's try jumping. And I was like, you just did that. You just did that.
And then let's try again.
Then he says, let's try again. And it's like, doom, doom. And here's the funny thing to me is that when the lions fail at something and they fall away, they lay down like hurt lions. Would they? They're robots. So it's they're like real lions. You expect them to lick their paw I'm hurt. Although we see in the new one, maybe they are a little more like lions, but we'll get to that. So anyway, they finally form Voltron because of course you need to form Voltron. And they form. Here's the other thing. They knew exactly how to work the robots. They're already in episode 4 and they're new. They just found Voltron. I know you didn't get to see the beginning, but they discover Voltron. It's not like they've grown up their whole life doing Voltron. In the first episode, they find the lions, okay? So, and Pidge just found his lion, right? They all know how to work Voltron. Just, okay. We're just a fighting robot, 5 lions connected. We just know what switches to do and all that kind of stuff. They're like, let's form our sword. And they form the sword, one slice, and what happens? One slice into the Robeast, and what happens to the Robeast with one touch of the sword?
It makes a white line, and it starts disappearing, and then a huge explosion.
Yeah, it just kills it.
Yeah.
Here's an idea, Voltron. Why not as soon as the Robeast comes, you form Voltron and cut him with your sword? No, I know they don't do that. They do it for dramatic reasons, to build up the story. It's like, oh man, are they going to be able to? Oh no, are they going to be able to? And Power Rangers, I will say this. Maybe because of the sword not being perfect, like Voltron's sword, they were able to fight with the sword, and a lot of times the Voltron robot got hurt and things like that. So, or the Power Rangers robot, I'm sorry. So it was a little more dramatic, and sometimes the Zords would break and things like that, and they had to figure out a way around it. So, maybe there was a little more drama with the Power Rangers. But anyway, just form Voltron, cut him with your sword. It's done. Okay, so at the end, they show a preview for the next episode. I kind of like that. They're like, next time on Voltron, a new, stronger Robeast comes. And it was human looking, and his hand crawled out.
And then
it had cone boobs again. It was a dude. It had him shirtless. He looked humanoid. But darn it if he didn't have more cone boobs. But these at least had holes in them.
I just want to watch more episodes, see if all the monsters have
them. All of them have cone boobs. Maybe that's Voltron. That's our weakness, is we have cone boobs. And maybe Voltron could just go up to him and go, honka, honka, honka. And then it's just ha ha ha, got the nips. So it would be metal nips. And maybe Zarkon is you stupid witch. You keep creating Robeasts with susceptible nipples, and they're susceptible to Voltron's attack. Stop with the nipples, witch! Oh, that would be so funny that she's like, no, if I'm going to make Robeast, they're going to have nipples. That is all. But the new one has, at least they look like cannon nipples, so maybe they shoot bullets or ray guns or milk. Maybe they just squirt milk, and then the lions are like, oh, we want milk, and they unjoin Voltron, and they're like drinking up the milk like lions do, and then they finally defeat Voltron with the milk shooting. This podcast has gone awry. Hey, watch the What Are We Watching podcast, and we talk milk nipples on robots. All right, so that was kind of funny to me. All right, the new Voltron, Legendary Defender on Netflix. I have seen tons of things about this cartoon saying how awesome it was and how good it was and how this is the way you do a remake. So now that you've seen the early Voltron, what do you think of Legendary Defender?
I think it, what you said about the old ones, like, oh, we just know how to work this, but they actually practice on using Voltron, and they didn't exactly know all of the things or weren't exactly good at
Excellent point.
In the episode, so that made a little more sense.
That made so much more sense. These guys just stumbled into these robots. There's some backstory with some of the characters. I would say it's less talky in a way with the like the whole Star Wars evil council. They looked like the evil council, even though they were good. But there was less of that kind of talking, but there was more stuff about the backstory and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I found that interesting. Hero, his name is Hero.
Brother?
Yeah, Pidge is looking for her. Okay, again.
Forgot.
Is Pidge a girl or a boy? I wrote it down again. Is Pidge still a girl or boy? And there's still argument on the internet. Now, I don't think in this episode they said him or her.
I wouldn't remember.
I did. I like was listening for it, and I can't tell you if Pidge is a girl or a boy. In this one, Pidge looks more like a boy.
Yeah.
But the voice lends itself to be either or because of his or her age. I don't know. I don't know what Pidge is. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. But maybe it's a bad thing. I don't know. I don't know what Pidge is. Okay, so Pidge and Hero have a backstory. Hero is called the champion by all these creatures that get awakened out of these sleep pods. We missed the first 2 episodes because we jumped into season 1, episode 3, because we like to jump in after it's been established, see if we can figure out the story. That's kind of cool. You know, can we figure it out? Is it hard to jump into? But no, they were explaining stuff. We figured it all out. I did scan through some of the other episodes of Netflix when I was trying to pick the one we were going to watch. And I saw that, and they didn't do it on this episode. I was hoping they would, but the princess does kind of like, she makes sillier faces. You've seen Avatar, and sometimes
they
it'll
make
be like
triangle and then
triangle
a crazy
eyes, like those
lines on their faces.
They call them chibi or chibi faces. You know, it's like doing, and it zooms in. It has lines around them. Classic anime kind of thing.
And then the lines where it looks like it's coming at you, but it's just there, and then squiggly eyes because it got knocked out or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Like they do that. That's a classic thing they do in what I will always call Japanimation. So that's interesting. But I saw the princess do that, like, and do that, like, you know, anime face. But she didn't do it in this one. But they give the princess more comic relief. In the old one, princess was more like stoic, like, no, we must save the Planetaris. We must get Voltron. And now she's like, dudes, I work the computers and I know some stuff. But they gave her a little more comic relief. And then her general assistant, whatever that guy is, he is all comic relief now, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't like a strong, we must call Voltron, princess. I will get you out of here, princess. He's like, zoinks, I made you some food, Voltron team, zoinks. Maybe not, he didn't say zoinks. Okay, it wasn't Scooby-Doo. But he was making wacky food and had a funny British accent,
and then he's like,
it sounded like one of the guys from
that's how you know if something is healthy. It tastes bad.
Yeah, they're like, this food stinks. Well, that's how you know it's healthy. It sounded like one of the guys from Flight of the Conchords. I'd love to find out that that's who was doing it. So anyway, he was wacky. They gave the princess a little more to do, and then the princess and them discover the residents of a town nearby, a village nearby, and they're like wacky creatures.
Yeah.
They're silly creatures. But the princess
One
is
of the
like
things where one of the wacky creatures, I think they're pink, jumped on, what's his name?
Hunk.
Not
Shunk.
Hunk.
Yeah, anyway. But he
Whatever,
was like,
somebody's like, wow, I've never really been so nice to.
yeah,
Whatever.
I never.
And then he's like, thanks.
Yeah, I never was a hugger, but you're so sweet and cuddly, and it's like, thank you. It
And it was a man. It was a dude. It's like,
yeah,
whoa.
they just look cute. But it was like a little bit of a Jar Jar Binks colony out there. So it was a little ridiculous. But the princess they didn't know who the princess was. The princess didn't know who they were. The princess's castle is like over the hill. So I don't know. Maybe she just awoke from a slumber too. I can't tell because we missed the first couple episodes. But you'd think the princess would know who they are.
Yeah.
If they live that close to each other. Okay, so anyway, the Robeast comes to fight Voltron. They already have all 5 of their lions. The lions join up. How does the fight go for Voltron in the new version?
The new version, it's a little more actiony, I think.
Yeah.
And they accidentally do wrong stuff, but then,
Yeah, which is cool, because they
the
screw
black
up.
dude, not like in race color, but the black suited dude
Right, the black guy.
remembered how to defeat. It was a similar
Yeah, it was a similar move.
monster to a guy in the arena.
Hero. That was
Yeah,
his name,
Hero,
Hero.
Hero.
So he has these flashbacks of when him and Pidge, or Pidge's brother, were in this gladiator arena before he got knocked out and put in the sleep chamber, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden he got a flashback because he has no memories. And he's like, oh, that guy is just like the guy
Yeah, I
we used to
even
fight.
said that.
Yeah, and you said it while we were watching. That's just like the guy in the gladiator pit. He has the same kind of
That
fight
ball.
style, a ball of energy. This is how we defeat him. So they figured it out. But you're right, they screwed up. One of them didn't know how to, Pidge didn't know how to shoot the lasers.
He accidentally put up the shield.
Put up the shield, and then the shield got broken, and one of the guys wanted to do a soccer kick, and that failed. So it was a lot of action. They had to work together. I kind of love how they did the
I
teamwork
think it
thing.
sort of related to Ninjago, like Jay and then the blue suited guy were like all kind of, ooh, I want to do this. They're like smart kind of mouth.
Right, but they got to work together.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is that way too. Like, no, you got to do it this way. We've got to work together, not just do our own thing. So that seems to be kind of like a key thing in some of the new cartoons is teamwork. And I'm all for that. What do you like better, the original Voltron or the new Voltron? If you were going to choose one to watch, which would you watch?
This time I would choose the new one.
Yeah, the new one did have cool animation. It still talked about like working together. It still was thinky in a way where it was talking about the flashbacks and stuff like that. And it was a nice tight show. Still don't know what Pidge is. But I still don't know what Pidge is. And I'll give the new Voltron this. There were no cone nipples. No cone nipples
Yeah.
on the Robeast. They should call them nipple beasts, by the way, or boob beasts. Or roboobs.
Boobies.
Boobies. That's nice. Boobies. Boobies. That
Come
is
on,
a
we
tight
have
joke.
to destroy these boobies.
That is a tight joke. We are knuckling up for those listening. All right. How would you rate the original? 1 to 10, 10 being the best.
I would rate it a...
All right.
I feel like I'm doing too much close ones.
That's okay. Go ahead.
But I feel like it would be a 8.
Okay. And what would be the new one?
The new one, that would be a 10,
A 10.
I guess. Yeah.
I usually don't rate anything high, but this cartoon, and I think I'm going to go with 8 and 9. Now, which one's an 8 and which one's a 9 for me?
I bet the 8 is the old one?
No, I actually think I like the new one just a little bit more than the old one. Just a little bit, because of things that were of its time. There was a lot of just frozen frames of Voltron while music was playing, but no sound effects happening. Sometimes
The fighting
was...
I just can't get over that.
Yeah.
Let's do it again. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was was that in the old one?
The
Or
old
new
one.
Yeah, the old one, yeah. I'm starting to get mixed up now in my head. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff with the fight scenes where they were fighting and there was no other noise. Like there was no wind noise happening or background noise or, it was just like, and it would have music behind it. But sometimes it was just like a freeze frame of Voltron standing there looking tough and just music or it was of its time. They cut corners. They stretched out frames to save money in animation. Every second of animation costs money because you got to draw every one of those frames, you know? It's like 30, 60 frames a minute, I don't know, or a second. I forget how many frames a second it is. But, you know, it's like flipping paper. When you do a flip book, you have to have an action for every one of those pieces of animation. Now with computers, it can be cheaper, even though ironically it's more expensive because it's hand drawn. But anyway, they definitely cut corners, used some of the same shots. You could tell like, oh, that's the same shot they used like 30 seconds ago during the fight scene so that they could spread the fight scene out longer. It definitely didn't have the action. But for me, it has the nostalgia of being Voltron.
And I also realized that when it goes to commercial, it just has the Voltron standing there
Frozen
with the sword.
to remind you. Yeah, but that was like a reminder card, title card. Oh, one thing we didn't discuss was the animation of the original and the new one and when they formed Voltron, which I always loved in the original because it would show the lions folding up.
The new one was about the same, but it looked more better animation while it was forming.
Yeah, I mean, at first I was like, oh, they're not showing it the same way. And they didn't quite show all of the pieces of the lions folding together the same way, but they started to like show more of it. And then they showed like the internal connections. Like you saw like a camera was inside.
There's this piece coming out and then the other piece
grab it. And then it showed a different arm where it grabbed it a different way. And so I was like, man, they're really kind of doing a good job. They're doing justice. So the princess wasn't as much of a damsel in distress. I like that. She could use the computer more. I'm all for a little bit of girl power. Still don't know what Pidge is. So there weren't any boobies on the robots. And I'm going to say old Voltron 8, new Voltron 9.
Woo!
We have almost the same score. All right. What did you think of the episode? What do you think of the boobots? Or is that what we're calling them?
Yeah, boobots. Or no, it was Boobeast.
Boobies. What do you think of the boobots or boobies? Which do you like better? If we were going to start a band, would it be the boobots or the boobies? I kind of like boobies. All right. Let us know your thoughts below. If you comment on a video, you could win an Amazon gift card. And you could also win a free month of Netflix, which means you could watch Voltron, all of the episodes, binge watch them on us. A free month of Netflix. Just let us know in the comments below on YouTube. Listen to us on iTunes, whatareWewatching.com/iTunes or whatareWewatching.com. All right, thanks for joining us. And if you have a challenge for us, you want us to watch something like when we watched Full House versus Fuller House or Boy Meets World versus Girl Meets World in our retro versus contemporary series, just email us at whatarewewatchingpodcast@gmail.com and we will put your video on our podcast. And you can challenge us, and we will meet your challenge. Anything else you want to add to the fans, Carlin?
Thanks for watching. This was an interesting episode to me.
It was a lot of fun. And we really appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Boobies.
This production is brought to you by the Plaid Dad Blog Podcast Network. For more information, visit us at plaiddadblog.com.